Hari ini Ahad 18 April 2021 kita akan terus menyambung kita punya pembelajaran bagi lecture untuk Qawaid Fiqhiyah. So hari ini saya akan menyambung semula bagi Maxim seterusnya. Saya akan sambung terus ke Maxim number 8 and 9. Okay, insyaAllah hari ini memandangkan last week saya sudah merakamkan Maxim 6 dan 7. Okay, so hopefully rakaman tersebut saya akan upload nanti hari ini. So kita akan tengoklah okay, keseluruhannya. Okay, bagi Maxim hari ini, Maxim nombor 8. Okay, Maxim nombor 8. So saya akan move to the Maxim. Okay. Yeah. So kita So, Maxim number 8 is giving effect to words is preferable to giving them no effect. So, this is the Maxim in the textbook. Okay, namely on Maxim number 8, okay, giving effect to words is preferable to giving them no effect. So, i'malul kalam awla min ihmalihi. I'malul kalam awla min ihmalihi. So that's the Arabic term in this Maxim. So what connote the punya explanation of this Maxim? Kita will look into the wording or the key term as usual that we are discussing each and every Maxim in the class. So i'malul kalam and ihmalul kalam. So both give the different meanings into means that to construe a word or phrase as having a meaning consistent with its linguistic implication. Whereas ihmalul kalam, to construe a word or phrase or as having no meaning or practical implication in a given text. Okay, so i'malu having effect or having a meaning, but ihmalul kalam is having no effect or having no meaning or practical implication in a given text. So in this Maxim actually this Maxim has not included as a leading Maxim despite its significance in Islamic jurisprudence. Nonetheless, some scholars have taken the view that it should be considered a fundamental Maxim, legal Maxim, and a basis of Islamic jurisprudence as it is relevant to all texts, including financial contracts such as sales, lease, wills, gifts, and etc. So this Maxim actually we can see its application in most of Islamic financial transaction. Okay, sama ada untuk jual belinya, okay, sewaan dan sebagainya. So ini sebenarnya merupakan Maxim yang actually dekat dengan fiqh muamalat itu sendiri. Okay. So we move to the explanation of the Maxim. So in this Maxim, kalam means speech, statement, or words. Okay, while i'mal means to employ, to use, put into operation, okay, bring to bear. Okay, i'mal maksudnya something that useful, something that we take into account with. Okay, i'mal al-kalam means to construe a word phrase as having a meaning consistent with its linguistic implication. So i'malul kalam maksudnya adalah perkataan yang akhirnya membawa kepada satu maksud yang tertentu dan kita boleh menggunakan pakai maksud tersebut untuk membuat justifikasi tertentu untuk kontrak-kontrak yang tertentu. Okay, so the other keywords is the ihmal. Okay, ihmal, which means to neglect, disregard, to ignore. Okay, ihmal al-kalam means to construe a word or phrase as having no meaning or practical implication in a given text. So, ihmal al-kalam membawa maksud sesuatu yang actually tiada makna atau tidak memberi efek ataupun impact kepada any of the contract that we are deal with. So the maxim means that it is not permissible to completely disregard words in a written or oral discourse. Okay, so dalam any transaction or any contract, kita kena ambil apa sahaja sesuatu that actually word ataupun lafaz ataupun perkataan yang sebenarnya adakah ia memberi erti ataupun tidak. So kita kena take note and kita kena take into consideration. So let's say in this maxim also discuss on the ma'ani of words itself. Okay, so this maxim is this not permissible to completely disregard words in written or oral discourse. The starting assumption is that words are used according to their literal meaning. Okay, al-ma'ana al-haqiqi, okay, assigned to them in a language. So that is the meaning of the maxim. Al-aslu fil kalam al-haqiqah. So meaning of this maxim is bila kita translate it into Arabic is al-aslu fil kalam al-haqiqah, sesuatu yang benar, sesuatu yang ada meaning ataupun ada implication. So the literal meaning can either be the original meaning assigned to a word linguistically, or the usage of speakers of the language in general, or by subculture, profession, or academic discipline. So an example of technical term that has particular meaning to a particular group of people is put, which for securities traders means an option, okay, to sell a fixed number of securities at a fixed price at a future date. So on the other hand, in the terminology of track and field athletics, put means to hurl a metal ball. So the first meaning that comes to mind in a particular context is the literal meaning in that context. So words also have metaphorical meanings, ma'ani majaziyah. Sesuatu yang majaziyah itu adalah sesuatu yang kita perumpamakan ataupun kita membuat secara tersurat, okay, tersurat, okay. إذا تعذرت الحقيقة يصار إلى مجازي. If the literal meaning is impossible, the metaphorical meaning is resorted to. So interpreting speech metaphorically is allowed if there is precedent for the meaning in the language, and if the metaphorical meaning is plausible in the context. Okay, both maxims are invoked, okay, in order to preserve speech from being considered meaningless. So in this maxim, ia menekankan bahawasanya even though the words is we are uttering the words in a majaziyah term, it's still meaningful if that perkataan mempunyai maksud yang tertentu, okay, yang tersurat. Okay, still we can consider it as something that we are can assign it into any meaning. Okay, so so in order for a person's speech to merit consideration, the following condition must be met. Okay, walaupun kita kata kita nak tengok perkataan tersebut adakah having meaning or not. Okay, sometimes orang bercakap secara berlapik and then tidak direct, kan. So sometimes kita tak boleh nak baca dia punya maksud yang tersirat. Okay, but dalam Islam kita still kena investigate or take into consideration that majaziyah words, okay, to find its meanings and to find its impact or effect to the action actually in the dealing or in the contract. Okay, so dalam kita nak menilai sesuatu perkataan, kita kena tengok juga siapa yang siapa yang mengutarakan perkataan tersebut. Okay, pertama kita tengok syarat-syarat bagi untuk kita mengambil kira percakapan seseorang tersebut, ia mestilah memenuhi syarat-syarat yang tertentu. Pertama, dari sudut maturity. Okay, all jurists agree that the basic rules for the speech of a mature person is that it should be considered meaningful and have legal effect. So kalau yang bagi orang yang sudah matang ataupun balik, okay, everything that we speak, okay, we given speech or uttering something from our mouth, okay, it is have impact and have effect. Okay, so kita haruslah bertanggungjawab ke atas sesuatu yang telah kita perkatakan. So that's the meaning of mature person. So they further agree that the speech of a child who is unable to discriminate and understand does not have legal effect. So kalau yang belum mature is, let's say, kanak-kanak ataupun budak-budak, so ia tidak akan dikira sebagai sesuatu yang meaningful. Okay, in Islam. However, they hold different views concerning the speech of a child between the age of 7 and puberty in terms of his capability of coherency and ability to understand his own words. Tetapi berbeza juga, kita tengok juga pula umur, adakah kanak-kanak tersebut menghampiri tempoh balik ataupun dia sebenarnya sudah matang dari sudut pemikiran, maka ia boleh diambil kira. Okay. Sanity itu apa? Sanity itu adalah kewarasan. Okay, Islamic jurists agree that the speech of an insane person has no legal effect. Okay, because it emanates from a disordered mind and is thus meaningless. Sanity adalah kewarasan, keelokan akal fikiran, minda. Kalau insane membawa maksud orang yang tidak waras, orang yang mempunyai kecacatan minda ataupun tidak boleh berfikir secara waras, rasional dan baik. So kalau orang yang waras, maka dia punya percakapan akan dikonsiderkan sebagai meaningful. Tapi kalau insane, meaningless. Okay, so that's the difference. However, scholars disagree regarding a person whose mental capacity is disrupted by his own action. Okay, for example, consuming an intoxicant. Walau bagaimanapun bagi orang yang mabuk, okay, bagi orang yang mabuk, dia insane juga, tapi insane secara seketika sahaja, sekejap sahaja. Okay, maka kita akan tengok di waktu dia, adakah dia mabuk ataupun tidak di waktu tersebut, di waktu dia bercakap tersebut. So kalau di waktu dia bercakap tersebut dia sudah kurang mabuk ataupun tidak lagi mabuk, maka percakapannya dikira berguna ataupun bermakna. Okay? Walaupun dia ketika dia mabuk itu dikira insane, tetapi apabila kadar kemabukannya sudah menyusut ataupun menghilang, maka ia dah boleh fikir secara baik, maka percakapan dia ketika itu dikira bermakna. Okay? And number 3 is the free of choice al-ikhtiyar. So al-ikhtiyar maksudnya dia bebas untuk bercakap ataupun meluahkan pendapat. Maksudnya dia tiada sekatan, dia merdeka. So free choice al-ikhtiyar. Muslim jurists are of the opinion that the speech of someone who acts under compulsion makruh has no legal effect. So his speech is considered meaningless in the sense that the meaning of his word has no relation to his actual intention and objective. So kalau orang yang ada, let's say, dia dikurung, dia ditangkap ataupun dia dalam keadaan dia tidak bebas, maka ia tidak dikonsiderkan sebagai seseorang yang kita boleh take into consideration dia punya perkataan ataupun sesuatu yang dia percakapkan. Okay, sebab dia under dia berada dalam keadaan paksaan ataupun dalam keadaan yang tidak merdeka, dia tidak free to act. Okay, so the general effect of the maxim is that it is obligatory to interpret the statements of same people as meaningful and to avoid hasty disregard when the meaning is not readily apparent. So in addition, when a person's statement is to be the basis of Sharia ruling, it is incumbent to take it literally. So if there are contextual or internal indicators that the literal meaning cannot be intended, words should be construed according to their metaphorical meaning. So kalau kita tak dapat nak membaca, menilai maksud yang jelas ataupun yang hakiki, maka kita perlu tengok dari sudut yang tersirat, okay, yang tersembunyi di sebalik perkataan yang telah dilafazkan maksudnya. Okay. So authority of the Maxim. So according to Surah Al-Qaf, okay, verse 18, Ma yalfizu min qawlin illa ladayhi raqibun atid. So man does not utter any words except that a watchful observer with him is prepared to record. So the observer is an angel who records whatever good or evil things a person says. If people's words were construed as meaningless, their words would not have legal effect, and they would not be held accountable for them. Since Allah has chosen to record each and every statement, it indicates that they are treated as meaningful and are given legal effect. So that is further confirmed by an incident in which Allah's Messenger SAW advised in Mu'az bin Jabal about the importance of controlling one's tongue. Okay, Mu'az asked in surprise. Okay, so that's according to hadith. Hadith. So, Messenger of Allah, will we really be held to account for what we say? Asked Mu'az to Rasulullah SAW. So Allah's Messenger replied, "May your mother be bereaved, okay, of you. Will people be thrown headlong into the fire except its consequence of their tongue?" Also, our Messenger said, "There are three subjects in which serious statements are taken seriously, and also statements made in jest: divorce, marriage, and a return to a married state after a revocable divorce." Okay. So in this hadith, actually, the Prophet ﷺ described, okay, on the meaningful words or meaningful statements, okay, made by us. Okay, when Mu'az bin Jabal asked him on adakah seseorang dari kita, okay, akan dipertanggungjawabkan ke atas apa yang kita bercakapkan. Okay, so Rasulullah SAW reply yes, okay, and then kita kena very careful with our lidah, kan. So apa yang kita bercakapkan, apa yang kita hujahkan, apa yang kita perdebatkan, apa yang kita bercakapkan. So and then Allah, the Prophet SAW also menyambung lagi, okay, dalam his saying that ada tiga perkara yang betul-betul diambil serius di dalam Islam, dan kita tak boleh nak buat main-main ataupun kita nak buat bergurau, okay, apa-apa berkaitan tiga perkara ini, iaitu perceraian, perkahwinan dan juga rujuk. Okay, rujuk bagi perkahwinan yang boleh rujuk lah. Okay, so another hadith also, dia punya penjelasan dilihat dari satu lagi wording by Prophet SAW. This is illustrated in a famous incident from the life of the Prophet SAW. Okay, some of his wives asked him which one of them would be first to die after him. He replied, okay, the one with the longest arm. Okay, kalau dalam hadis pertama tadi, Rasulullah SAW jawab secara hakiki, secara jelas. Okay, and then dalam second hadis, Rasulullah SAW menjawab dalam bentuk majazi, pelambangan. Okay, the one with the longest arm. Okay, apabila para isteri Rasulullah SAW bertanya siapa yang akan nanti mengikuti Nabi setelah Nabi wafat? Maka jawab Nabi, the one with the longest arm, ialah orang yang paling panjang tangannya. Apa maksudnya? So they began to measure one another's arm and found that Saudah was the longest. Okay, mereka sudah start untuk saling membandingkan kepanjangan tangan masing-masing, and they found that Saudah has the longest arms. However, it turned out that Zainab was the first of his wife to die after him. Namun begitu, realitinya adalah Zainab yang mengikuti pemergian Nabi selepas kewafatan Nabi. Whereupon they realised that kemudian barulah para isteri Rasulullah SAW ini menyadari bahawasanya maksud yang Rasulullah maksudkan adalah berbeza daripada mereka fikirkan, tapi ia adalah meaningful, yang mana the one with the longest arm membawa maksud the one most inclined to giving charity, seseorang yang paling kuat, okay, melakukan sedekah amal jariah. Okay, kalau kita peribahasa Melayu, tak boleh jadi panjang tangan. Panjang tangan membawa maksud suka mencuri, kan? Okay, so tetapi dalam according to Arabic, mungkin dia punya society ataupun perlambangan di sana, and then according to this hadis also, kita faham benda lain. Okay, the one with the longest arm membawa maksud manusia ataupun seseorang yang paling kuat, paling tinggi amalan sedekahnya. So that's the meaning by the Prophet SAW bila baginda melafazkan the one with the longest arm. So maksudnya di sini apabila sesuatu yang kita tidak fahami secara directly, sometimes kita kena tengok dari sudut yang tersirat, okay, yang tersembunyi di sebaliknya. Okay, so application of the Maxim in fiqh. So kita akan tengok di application. Saya akan baca satu dah sahaja contoh, dan contoh-contoh yang lain kamu boleh refer to the textbook. Number one, a person made a bequest of 1,000 dinars to an orphanage, and he then made another bequest of 1,000 dinars to the same orphanage. So adakah kita nak nilai dia punya wasiat ataupun dia punya nak bagi hadiah kepada rumah anak yatim tersebut 1,000 ke ataupun 2,000? Okay. Okay, apabila let's say apabila seseorang, let's say A ni, dia almost dying, okay, bedridden, and then sebelum meninggal dia sempat membuat wasiat kepada anak-anaknya bahawasanya dia nak dermakan 1,000 dinar kepada rumah anak yatim. Okay, let's say selang beberapa hari selepas tu dia pun menyatakan semula dia punya nafas ataupun keinginan untuk mewasiatkan 1,000 lagi, 1,000 dinar, okay, kepada rumah anak yatim. Okay, happen to be apabila selepas kematian beliau, para pewaris mereka consider derma tersebut hanyalah 1,000, tetapi dalam Islam dikonsiderkan sebanyak 2,000 sebab dia dua kali lafaz. Di sinilah membawa maksud dalam Islam kita tak boleh simply menyebut sesuatu. Okay, sesuatu yang kita utarakan sebenarnya mempunyai maksud dan ia dikonsiderkan jatuh hukum. Okay, that's why kita kena hati-hati, okay, dalam apa-apa sahaja yang kita nak cakapkan. Okay, Astaghfirullahaladzim. So that's the tazkirah also, okay, to me and okay, to you, so that kita boleh berhati-hati in the future that sebarang apa yang kita bercakapkan kita harus ada tahu batasan dan juga sempadan. Okay, so that's the example in according to fiqh. Alright, so sama juga yang nombor 3 ni, example ni, kalau yang almost dying person, dia wasiatkan adalah harta dia adalah untuk anaknya sedangkan dia tak ada anak. Okay, mungkin anaknya sudah meninggal terlebih dahulu daripada beliau tapi dia ada cucu. So means that apa yang cakap tu untuk anak sebenarnya untuk cucu. Kita akan replicate sesuatu yang dia mahukan to the most relevant meaning of the words that dia katakan. So that's the application. So in Islamic finance, kita akan tengok beberapa example. Okay, tapi dalam buku ni dia hanya satu iaitu if physical possession hakiki is not possible for constructive possession, qad hukmi is allowed because it is better than entirely ignoring the meaning of the Sharia requirement of possession. So in the case that dalam fiqh muamalah ataupun any transaction, kita tak dapat nak pegang sesuatu pemilikan secara hakiki, secara fizikal, maka tapi ia juga dalam Islam, dalam syariah dibolehkan secara constructive possession. For example, kita terlibat di dalam sebarang urus niaga, mungkin kita tak dapat nak tengok secara berdepan, tapi kita boleh mungkin let's say kita ambil gambar and then share it into the customer. So kita dikonsiderkan sebagai memenuhi dah dia punya syarat-syarat pemilikan tersebut. Tapi mestilah ada let's say ada sertifikat ke, ada resit ke yang sah lah. Itulah. So I think that's all for Maxim number 8. Then we move into Maxim number 9. Alright. So saya akan present now Maxim number 9. Okay. Alright, this Maxim number 9. Okay. Certainty is not overcome by doubts. So page 59 is the Maxim number 9. Okay. Al-yakinu la yazulu bisyak. Certainty is not overcome by doubts. So this Maxim number 9 is Maxim yang paling, bukan paling. This is number 2 of anchor Maxim. Yang kita telah tengok sebelum ni Maxim number 6. Maxim number 6 is also anchor Maxim, Maxim utama. And then Maxim number 9 is the second anchor Maxim, Maxim utama yang kedua. Okay, certainty is not overcome by doubt. So this Maxim applies to virtually the entire spectrum of jurisprudence issues. So this Maxim actually among Maxim yang utama. So it is very interesting to discuss on this Maxim. Certainty is not overcome by doubts. Maksud kita kena yakin dan kita tak boleh nak ada syak, sebarang ketahuan yang akan nanti akan merosakkan keyakinan tersebut. So this Maxim applies to virtually the entire spectrum of jurisprudential issues. According to Asayuti, it covers 3/4 daripada buku-buku berkaitan fiqh. So it serves as the foundation of many Sharia rulings due to its direct relationship with the concepts of istishab. So the Maxim was introduced by Imam Ash-Shafi'i and adopted by the majority of jurists. So kita boleh bayangkanlah dia punya kepentingan about this Maxim. The application of the Maxim. So literally dia ada dalam terminologi dalam bahasa Arabnya adalah al-yakinu la yazulu bisyak. Okay, yakin means knowledge, ilmu that is not tainted by any doubt. Keilmuan kita, kefahaman kita, kepengetahuan kita tersebut tidak langsung boleh digoyahkan dengan keraguan, even sedikit sahaja keraguan, tak ada. Kita yakin 100%. So that's the meaning of yakin. Manakala the meaning of syak. Okay, syak. Syak. Dalam bahasa Melayu pun guna syak kan. So doubt, okay, suspicion or uncertainty. Sesuatu yang suspicious, mencurigakan, sesuatu yang tak jelas. Okay. So a state of indecision between the relative likelihood of two divergent possibilities. Dalam keadaan jelas dan tidak, syak tu duduk di antara lah, duduk di tengah-tengah. Okay. So the scholars of usul fiqh give it a narrower meaning for usulis. Yakin and syak are 2 of 5 points of spectrum of certainty and uncertainty. Okay, kita tengok sini. So according to usul fiqh scholars lah, okay. So yakin is at the extreme limit of certainty. Yakin duduk di extreme, duduk di atas yang paling yakin, yang paling atas sekali lah yakin. Okay, syak is the midpoint. Okay, syak is the midpoint where the probability of two divergent proposition about reality of 50-50. Okay, yakin dan tidak. Syak duduk tengah-tengah. Okay, which is equally possible and there is no evidence currently available to decide which one is more likely. Okay, saya baca dalam buku dah. Nanti kamu boleh refer to the textbook. When one of the two possibilities become more likely in the mind, it calls on. Okay. When the evidence is favor of it grows weightier, so that it's very likely to be true, although the other possibility is not conclusively ruled out, is called zan al-rajih. So yakin, zan al-rajih, zan, and then syak. So maksudnya situ antara yakin dan syak dia ada zan. Zan pula ada dua jenis. Okay, zan dan zan al-rajih. Zan al-rajih lebih mempunyai keyakinan daripada zan. Okay, itu maksudnya. Okay, wahmu is the less likely of two divergent possibility. A second definition of wahmu is a belief that is not founded on any evidence. The likely motive for such an opinion is personal whims and caprice, hawa. Okay, so di bawah daripada syak ialah wahmu. Wahmu tu lebih kepada dia telah terpengaruh dengan nafsu ataupun perasaan yang negatif lah. Okay, so it should be noted that the various form of zan along with syak and wahm are, according to the jurist definition, are forms of syak. So being weaker the yakin, they cannot oppose it. So however, zan al-rajih is treated like yakin with regard to all the levels of knowledge weaker than it. That is, it cannot be displaced by zan or syak or wahm. Okay, so zan al-rajih ni dia menghampiri yakin walaupun dia tidak 100% yakin. So that's the 5 spectrums between certainty and uncertainty lah, according to usul fiqh scholar. Okay, so this is the condition of the Maxim. Certainty. So Islamic scholars prescribe certain conditions for this Maxim. Okay, the most important include number 1, the certainty and doubt should both be about the same case and about the same points of that case. Kita nak menilai sesuatu betul ke tak dalam keadaan kita yakin ataupun syak dalam satu kes yang sama, bukannya berbeza-beza. So kalau beza macam mana kita nak buat bandingan kan? So mesti dalam satu kes yang sama. Okay, at the same point. Okay. Number 2, certainty and doubt cannot occur at the same moment. Okay, the work will logically impossible. The previous certainty is followed by subsequent doubt. Okay, of course, bila kita keadaan yakin, takkanlah pada masa yang sama kita ada rasa syak. So tak possible. Okay, mustahil. So yakin dan syak dia berlaku pada waktu yang berbeza, tak boleh sama. Okay. Number 3, there should be a consequence to applying the Maxim, for example, waiving a liability. Okay, mestilah dalam kita menentukan sama ada yakin ataupun syak tu terhadap sesuatu yang eventually memberi kesan kepada application of this Maxim. So that's the meaning of this discussion lah in this Maxim. So the Maxim plays a vital role in arriving at Sharia ruling since it establishes the basis for the original ruling in every case. So if there's a disagreement about the ruling for a given case, the Maxim can be used as a guide to determine which side in the dispute must provide positive proof in order to establish its case. So that's the discussion in this Maxim. So kita haruslah mempunyai keyakinan yang jelas terhadap sesuatu yang kita hadapi. So kalau kita merasakan alright. So kalau di sini kita haruslah mempunyai satu pengetahuan ataupun satu knowledge yang jelas terhadap sesuatu. So dalam keadaan kita merasakan kesangsian ataupun syak, okay, maka kita haruslah menyelidik lebih ataupun mencari sumber-sumber yang lebih kukuh untuk memperjelaskan lagi, okay, ataupun menerangkan lagi lah apa yang kita tidak jelas tersebut. Okay, this is also the application, the explanation of the Maxim. Not intended meaning implication, another meaning insane, sleep, very drunk. Okay, so this Maxim indicate that a fact established with a certainty remains so until another fact established with certainty. Okay, any doubt that occurs regarding what is known with certainty has no power to override or displace. Okay, or displace that certainty. So this is because the doubt which comes later is weaker than the certainty that preceded it about the same matter. Okay. So this is the another explanation of the Maxim. Okay, dalam kita nak mencari sesuatu knowledge on that particular issue, kita akan tengok juga siapa yang kita hadapi tersebut. Adakah dia betul-betul orang yang boleh kita yakini ataupun macam mana dia punya kelayakan dari sudut kewarasan ataupun keadaan fizikal dan juga akalnya. Okay. The authority of the Maxim according to Surah Yunus, okay, Yunus verse 36. Okay. Most of them follow nothing but conjecture, azan, but conjecture can be of no value at all against the truth, al-haq. So this is the meaning of Surah Yunus, okay, in verse 36. Okay, so the verse speaks about idolaters' uncertainty about their gods. So it accepts that their conjecture are not comparable to the truth, nor can detect its place or be treated like it. Okay, so kalau a more general interpretation of the wording is that the truth, al-haq, refers to certainty, al-yakin, which means that no conjecture is comparable to certainty. So in this verse tu dia nak ceritakan kepada al-haq. Okay, semawan dia tak ada keyakinan on that, so maka dia dah tergolong dalam golongan orang yang tidak beriman lah. Okay. And then in hadith, okay, according to Sunan Abu Dawud, di sini saya masuk ke dalam slide adalah Sunan Abu Dawud. Sunan Abu Dawud nombor 1026 dalam textbook adalah this hadith actually very precisely define this maxim. If one of you has doubt during his salat about how many raka'ah he has prayed, he should disregard the doubts and build upon what he is sure of. When he is certain that the prayer is complete, he should prostrate twice. If the prayer was indeed complete at the time of the doubt, the extra raka'ah and the two prostrations will be considered as a voluntary prayer. If the prayer was deficient, the extra raka'ah will complete it, and the two prostration will be the abasement for the devil. Okay, in this hadis, okay, in Sunan Abu Daud, okay, dia menceritakan tentang kita berada dalam keadaan, kita berada dalam solat dan kita was-was tentang bilangan rakaat yang kita tengah sembahyang lah. Okay, in this hadis, okay, the hadis teach us that when we feel doubts, okay, in salah about how many rakaat actually we are in, so we need to kita kena certain, kita kena ambil yang paling kita yakin. And then let's say kalau kita sembahyang isyak duduk di rakaat yang ketiga, and then kita tak sure kita berada di rakaat ketiga ke keempat, okay, tetapi kita kena think again, and then what is the most that we believe we are in, okay, rakaat ketiga, rakaat keempat. So dalam hati kita kata rakaat tiga lagi ni, okay, so tiga lagi kita ambil yang ketiga tersebut, maka kita sembahyang lagi rakaat keempat, and then selepas habis rakaat keempat kita when he is certain that the prayer is complete, he should prostrate twice. Okay, lepas kita baca tahiyat semua, kita sujud, panggil sujud sahwi. Okay, dua kali sujud. So if the prayer was indeed complete at the time of the doubt, the extra raka'ah and the two prostration will be considered as a voluntary prayer. Sekiranya masa kita keadaan kita ragu-ragu tersebut, kita dah berada di rakaat keempat actually sebenarnya, tapi kita yakin kita berada di rakaat ketiga. So the extra rakaat yang kita sembahyang tu dikira sebagai considered as a voluntary prayer. Okay, kita voluntary prayer maksudnya kita macam jadi lebih lah, okay, lebih kita solat, which is okay, okay, and then sujud kita tersebut, sujud sahwi tersebut dikira an extra, okay, extra prayer. Tapi sekiranya dalam keadaan kita ragu-ragu tersebut, memang betul kita berada di rakaat yang ketiga, okay, maka rakaat tu betul dah, and then sujud sahwi tersebut merupakan sujud bagi kita nak menghina ataupun kita nak melawan, okay, syaitan tersebut, syaitan yang telah menimbulkan kewas-wasan dalam hati kita ketika solat. Kita nak membalas, okay, dia sudut rasakan macam itulah, okay. Jadi kita tidak terpedaya lah dengan kita melakukan sujud sahwi. Okay, so that's the teaching of Islam in this hadith pertaining to kita punya syak di dalam solat kita. Alright, application of the fiqh, application of the Maxim in fiqh. So saya akan tengok satu contoh sahaja. Contoh yang lain kamu boleh tengok dalam buku teks. Okay, nombor satu adalah unsure whether or not pay zakat, obliged to pay or not. So in this case, when a person is unsure whether or not he has paid zakat, he is still liable to pay it because the obligation of zakat has been established on his liability with certainty. Kan? Okay, so let's say lah kita tak sure, kita ingat tak ingat kita dah bayar zakat ke belum, kan? So kalau kita pada keadaan kita tak sure tersebut, kita kena pay juga zakat. Okay, walaupun sebenarnya di sebalik kita lupa tersebut kita dah bayar zakat. Okay, tapi buat kita tak ingat. Maka kita kena bayar zakat sebab kita tak yakin kita dah bayar ke belum. Melainkan kalau kita yakin. Okay, kalau kita yakin, it finish. Okay, tapi dalam keadaan kita tak yakin, maka kita kena melakukan lagi sekali zakat. Obliged to pay or not. So in this, Maxim says that he is still liable to pay it because the obligation of zakat has been established on his liability with certainty. Okay, that's the meaning of this contoh lah. Okay. Okay, so another contoh in Islamic finance. Okay, if the customer claims he paid an installment of the debt, but he lost the receipt, and the bank has no record of the payment in computers, so it is considered to remain in debt. Ini sama lah macam zakat tadi. So selagi kita tak ada bukti dan kita kadang kita tak nak proof that kita sebenarnya dah bayar, okay, dan kita pun terlupa bayar ke tidak. So kita nak justify dengan guna apa sebab bukti tak ada kan. So in this case, the customer still in debt, okay, according to the case, because he cannot prove with any statement or any receipt, and also bank pun tak ada record dalam komputer. They consider it remain in debt. So that the application ataupun the discussion further in this application of Islamic finance in according to this math. So hopefully that student can be very clear on this Maxim. Maxim number 9 is Maxim yang utama dan ia membawa kepada Maxim lain. So kalau according to that textbook ada enam Maxim lain yang merupakan anak-anak kepada Maxim number 9. Okay, kau tengok page 65 kita ada pertama la ibrata bizanni bayyin khata'uhu. Al-aslu bara'atun zimmah. Okay, nombor 3 al-aslu baqa'u ma kana ala ma kana. Nombor 4 al-aslu fi sifatil 'aridah al-adam. Number 5 al-aslu idafatul hadis ila aqrabi waqtihi. And number 6 la ibrata lit-tahawwum. Okay, la ibrata lit-tahawwum. So tak semua Maxim Maxim yang anak-anak ni saya akan discuss. Saya akan ambil yang utama sahaja. So hopefully student boleh refer to the textbook and then make a revision about Maxim number 9. Okay, so with that I thank you for listening to my lecture today. So hopefully we can see again tomorrow in our tutorial class. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.